your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Marsha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up for something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Oh, welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rockfin, Rumble, all the fine places where you can get your podcasts. Guys, tonight, quick update. I'm going to be at the Grizzly Pear Midtown at the 10 p.m. show, not the 8 p.m., just 10 p.m. So come check me out tonight. Or if you're in the city, tomorrow night, I'll be doing Gino Bisconti's birthday show at Stand Up New York. That's a 9:30 show tomorrow night. That's going to be fun. A lot of familiar faces from Compound Media, if you're a fan of that network. Then in February, I'm going to be in Rochester, New York. Yes, beautiful tropical Rochester, New York for DabbleCon, February 3rd and 4th. There'll be several events happening at Comedy at the Carlson on 50 Carlson Road in Rochester. We'll be having a stand-up show, Comedians of the Dabbleverse, live podcast tapings, a meet and greet, and the Dabby Awards. So if you're a fan of Stuttering John, Who Are These Pods? Shuli, Bob Levy, Anthony Cumia, and myself. This will be just a great get-together in Rochester. Hope it doesn't snow us out. But if you're more of a warm weather person, I'll see you in San Diego the last weekend in February, the 24th and 25th. I'll be headlining the Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. So to get your tickets now, go to my website, chrissiemayr.com. Also, I'll be in Staten Island in April. I think April 7th. Oh, are we still doing holiday music? Why not? April 7th, I'll be somewhere in Staten Island. That sounds like fun. Hope a lot of firefighters come. I haven't been to Staten Island in years. So if you're listening, Pete Davidson, maybe there's hope for us yet. Because I heard that him and Emily Ratajkowski are already over. Nobody is shocked. I'm not shocked. I want to do a quick shout out to Flagrant Triggers, my t-shirt provider. Get your Rootin' for Putin shirt. You sound vaccinated. Johnny Dabbler, Simpcast, Mayor, Frostbite, Make America Great Again. Well, now this Christmas shirt is no longer relevant. I support Filing Cabinet. Smayer. Go to flagranttriggers.com. $27. I think it includes shipping. They're super soft. And you can also get on an X-Ray Girls collection the Make Marvel Mail Again shirt, which is so funny. I have to order one. Also, Lila Hart's shirts are here as well. My good friend and fellow comedian Lila Hart. So go to flagranttriggers.com. Support your favorite female podcaster. That sounds so gay to say it like that. Why do I have to just even mention that we're female? You guys can figure that out. All right. I'm excited to bring on the podcast. My God, yes, a female. I have been such a fan of hers for a while, so this is an exciting day for me. She's a content creator, and we're going to talk about she might be interested in dabbling in stand-up soon. Oh my God, so much to get into. I'm so excited to have Lauren Chen with us today. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, it's snowing. It's snowing on our podcast.
It's so atmospheric. I love it. I feel cozy.
I really like your aesthetic.
Thank you.
The muted colors. Are you somebody who took one of these? This is like all the rage with girls right now. There's like a color palette test that you can take, and it tells you what season you are. Like, are you a soft autumn, a soft spring, or whatever? And based on that color palette, those are like only the colors you should wear.
Well, I've not done that test, but so I know that yellow doesn't look good on me. And I once filmed in front of a yellow wall. And I got this comment from this guy saying, like, oh, your camera adjustment is off, is making you sick, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, my camera adjustment is fine. I'm just part Asian. So I'm just a little
Yeah.
bit yellow. I know yellow does not work for me. So I try to stay away from that. But I appreciate the compliments on the set. My husband, so we moved to a new place and I was really excited to like get to decorate the way that I want. Turns out my husband was annoyingly involved in the process though, but he does have a good eye for stuff. So he is credited for like a lot of this.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did he pick out I don't know. That's pretty crazy. I don't think I would involve Frank on any decorating at all. He
But
kind of likes
it's
to stay out of it. I don't even try to bring him into stores because it's like I just don't want that to be I just remember from growing up, like the image of my dad sitting frustrated, like arms folded, outside in the mall, like in the sitting areas in the middle, and then like me, my sister,
where
and
like
mom
where
would
they
have,
have like the men parking where you can park your
yes,
man and then just
yeah, man chairs. Some
yeah.
of them vibrate, some of them don't, and I just never wanted to put a man through that.
But see, I would prefer he just, I mean, this sounds bad, but I would prefer he be uninvolved so I can do what I want. Because I think this turned out well, but we have very different styles. Like, if it were up to him, we would be living in a Gregorian monastery. He's like, full on, give me the brass, give me the dark wood, the leather. And it's like, well, that's a look.
Ooh.
Yeah, not my vibe.
So I'm imagining something that I bet like Jordan Peterson's home library or something, just like mahogany and wood and deep
Oh,
colors,
yeah.
a lot of
Oh,
old
yeah.
books.
That's all him. That's his vibe. He actually like he has his own office done like that. And he actually I had some leather bound books. He actually stole them. I don't even know if he read them, but essentially he's accessorizing with my actual books. So
You're like, I don't even know what's in those books.
yeah.
That's awesome. Lauren, I want to get into your origin story. I know that we have a mutual sort of, well, he used to be on Compound Media. Was it Michael Malice? I subbed for him once. I think he's just the greatest. I think you two
I
are friends. I
love him.
have read somewhere that you inspired him to move out of New York to Texas.
I would love to take credit if that's true. I don't know if it is, but I am definitely someone who was very critical of why he would stay in New York, having the politics that he does and just the way things went there during lockdown. And I mean, I'm Canadian, so I get it. I get what it's like to, I guess, feel so not represented by your government, to feel oppressed. And so it was so strange to me that he was still there, but I was happy to see him get out, even though I know it's hard leaving somewhere that you really do love, that you call your home, that you have family in. But I think after a certain point, you got to pull that band-aid and stop financing the people who are oppressing you through your taxes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think New York City is up to like 30 or 33,000 migrants at this point, which is a
Crazy.
lot. Like Eric Adams is freaking out, but I'm like, well, I only go into the city like once a week, so
Yeah. There's so much cultural enrichment, though. You guys have been truly blessed with the gift of diversity. So there's
so much culture, like watching people shoot up every day on your way to work, like stepping over crackheads. And it's nuts. And like, you're used to having a certain like, look like, okay, this is a crackhead out of Central Casting. But now I'm seeing people like, did I go to college with you? Like,
oh my gosh,
it's, yeah, things are changing.
that's scary. And I feel like, I feel like American cities have reached a point where people just take for granted that that's what it should be like. Because I remember I only moved to the States when I was like 17, and I moved to LA. Before that, I'd lived in like Hong Kong, Singapore, London a little bit. And I remember, people would say things like, oh, well, it's a city. And I would always go like, okay, well, there are a lot of cities that aren't Skid Row, where you don't have to start walking in packs once the sun sets. Like, that's not inherent to all cities. You could have cities that are also safe. But it's so sad seeing these once great cities kind of slip into ruin.
So do you live in Canada now, or you're just from there originally?
Yeah, I'm from there. I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Which some people call the Athens of the South. I'm guessing who have never been to Athens, but yeah. No, we moved about a year ago. So really liking it here so far.
Okay, wow. Awesome. How did you get into the sort of like content creator space, YouTube? Like, what was your early were you always feeling politically activated? Did you go through a period of like feminism or liberalism? Like, were your parents, kind of aligned with the same values as you? Like, what was your kind of what was
Yeah.
your journey, Lauren?
What's my origin stories? So I actually wish that I would have been this huge liberal at some point, because then I could have like done a walk away thing and made so much money. But no, sadly, I've always been just kind of conservative. I mean, I've gone through different phases. I went through my libertarian phase. I went through my neocon phase in college, which was a bit embarrassing. But I've never really been a leftist, and I attribute that to the fact that, I grew up in Asia. My parents were apolitical, but I guess socially more on the conservative side. And, a lot of the, I guess, cultural indoctrination, for lack of a better term, that was going on, when I was younger in places like America and Canada, I was kind of shielded from that just due to the fact that I didn't grow up in America or Canada. I went to Western schools, like an American international school, but I think that's pretty different than actually growing up in a lot of the different schools that are pushing things like this radical leftism. So yeah, I've always been interested in politics. I did poli-sci for my BA. I'm one of the like 5 people with a poli-sci degree who's actually working in anything remotely related to politics, so that's fun.
Wow.
Um,
I always
yeah,
thought,
represent.
like
Heck
kids I went to
yeah.
school with, like, really? Are you going to be a political scientist? Is that your plan? Like, or are you going to just be at Starbucks like the rest of us?
Yeah, well, I showed them I make wrecked feminist videos on YouTube. Okay, so pretty big deal. Have a degree in it. But yeah, when I first started making YouTube videos, it was, I think, over 6 years ago at this point, which is
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
And that was kind of like the Wild West days of YouTube. Like, you could just be any Joe Blow, whatever, super anti-Semitic. You could still end up on like trending or search results because there wasn't that content curation that they do now so strongly. So it was actually more possible then to just be an independent small creator starting out and then to grow a following. And so that's kind of what I did. YouTube started off just as a hobby. Eventually I gained enough support through like crowdfunding to go part-time at my other job. And then eventually I was full-time YouTube, and I've been doing it ever since. But, I sometimes get people who will ask me, I want to start off, making content. What tips do you have? And I have to tell them, well, it's a lot harder, frankly, now than when I started out. I really got lucky. I think I came in at a really good point. Not that it's impossible now, but you have all of these forces acting against you because you're not an authoritative source that I just didn't have to deal with when I was starting out.
Yeah, it sounds similar to when like comedians or like comedian hopefuls will be like, "Oh, what's your advice for getting into stand up?" And I so often hear other stand-ups just say like, "Don't." Something that I would like years
Run
ago
away.
I'd hear Tim Dillon be like, "Don't. We have enough." Like, aw. But I think
Yeah.
YouTube is just trickier, and I am kicking myself because I remember like during that golden YouTube time, I like was kind of thinking of it, but I just was like, nobody wants to hear from like, what am I going to talk about? I wasn't kind of my sort of political activation, like giving a shit, red pilling. None
Right.
of that started happening till 2018. So I would have probably just been doing makeup tutorials
But
and
then see, I
yeah.
think that sometimes too, like, man, like 2015, 2014, I should have just started a makeup channel. We would have both been so rich by now. We wouldn't
Ah,
be dealing with all this censorship stuff. Yeah, that
we'd
is
be
something
like
that I regret.
Pokimane with our
I
own makeup
know.
collaborations. I went down a Pokimane rabbit hole yesterday. I'm like, what is a Poke? What's going on here? Like, what's and she
I've
just got
heard
in at the right time.
she's like a
To
Twitch streamer,
YouTube.
right?
Twitch streamer. She's just
Yeah.
like an attractive, approachable, like a girl next door who did gaming and just live streamed her whole life. I'm like, oh, there you go. It's sometimes it's just about timing, but
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason. And I read that what I like about you is that, and I think that a theme that doesn't get discussed enough is like what happened to nuance. And I think the way social media and just how things have progressed over the last 10 years has really trained us to lack nuance. And it's like and it seems like the left and right battle, like the left is so quick to forgive anybody on their side
Yeah.
and make excuses and concessions. But if you have the wrong politics, well, you're guilty by association. You talk to this person once, they have one idea that's really horrible, so we can't listen to anything else they have to say. And it's really wild. And it's like, okay, Twitter, 140 characters, like we live in this time where it's like we are training ourselves to not think, to not have nuance, to not read anything past a few pages, a few paragraphs. And I wonder if this was the first kind of interview or content that you did that you got such a big blowback from. But and correct me if I'm wrong, you interviewed Richard Spencer in 2017 and just sort of like chatted with him, and
I
then
don't know if it was 2017, but I did
okay.
interview him. I'm trying to think if that's because I have quite the record. I've interviewed Richard Spencer, I've interviewed Alex Jones, I've interviewed Stefan Molyneux, Tommy Robinson, like all of the people that the left hates. I tend to be like, you know what, I'm gonna talk to you.
I
So
like that. I like that because I like the idea that, yeah, that you haven't heard all there is to know about this person. Also, people's ideas grow over the years, and I just don't like having other people being who gets to tell the story of you, right? Even if somebody is so misunderstood or so hated, it's like, well, let's hear from them directly, and then leave it up to the individual to make up their mind for themselves. Like,
yeah.
why does you know, the Daily Beast or whatever, you know, liberal website have to be the person that makes, you know, chews up and swallows your information for you?
No, you're so right. And you mentioned the whole guilt by association thing. And what I've noticed is that it only ever goes one way, right? So, Richard Spencer, he's been interviewed by CNN before and after I interviewed him. They weren't combative interviews. There's this one where the guy interviewing him was like joking around with him. They're not being accused of like platforming the alt-right because they're CNN, right? So because they're like more leftist, they're fine. They can do whatever they want. They're not going to be attributed as having his views, but I can't do the same. And so, I mean, ultimately, when people get upset that I interviewed someone, I notice that they're rarely people who actually follow me, who engage with the content, who watch it all the way through anyway. So I pretty much just don't care at this point if people get upset by it, because it's like, look, you're not listening to what I have to say anyway. You clearly dislike me just by virtue of my own beliefs. So I'm not going to spend time trying to justify my actions to someone who is just looking to attack me. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah. What attracted you to wanting to speak with these people? Was it just the politics, or kind of that they're canceled figures?
I guess it's that, and this is still going on, but I guess 2016 is when I kind of noticed that the media would do this thing where they say a lot of things about someone without actually quoting them, or maybe there's like one little line of quote, but they'll say something like, this person is a far right white supremacist, yada, yada, yada. But they won't tell you why. It's just kind of like you're expected to take their word for it. And as someone who, even that early on, after I started making videos, had already been called Nazi, every name in the book, I started being like, okay, well, what do these people actually believe? I want to know. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I would like to decide for myself. I want my audience to decide for themselves. So in Richard Spencer, it's actually interesting because upon talking to him, despite him being smeared as far right, I actually learned he's a leftist. He's a Bernie supporter. He supports things like socialized medicine. I mean, I feel like with political discourse now, we've taken right just to mean like white. Like if you're a racial identitarian and you're black, okay, you're a leftist. But if you're a racial identitarian and you're white, okay, that means you're far right. It's like that doesn't make sense. So yeah, he's actually not on the right. And, that's something that I know Dinesh D'Souza, he ended up speaking with Richard Spencer years later. And when he found out, he was like, it was like this big thing that the right was sharing. And I was kind of like, okay, well, I interviewed him and found out the exact same thing years ago. This is not new information. Maybe we should actually start listening to people a little bit more before we start demonizing them. Like at least demonize them for the right reasons, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's like who has the say on who gets to title someone else and who gets to describe someone else. And I guess the answer is like whoever has access to your Wikipedia page. But
yeah, basically.
Was Richard Spencer the interview that you got the most blowback from?
It might actually be Alex Jones. Yeah, it might be Alex Jones over Richard Spencer, especially because like Richard Spencer, that was a big deal at the time that it happened. But after a couple months, it kind of dies out. But I feel like Alex Jones is really one of the figures who has the most controversial staying power, right? I mean, like he was controversial back then, he's controversial now. So I would say long term, probably Alex Jones.
What year was that? And this was probably he's had a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
I think the best person for Alex Jones in 2022 was definitely Kanye because there were so many viral moments of him being the reasonable one.
I know. I saw people during that interview being like, I can't believe, I think this was Jeremy from The Quartering, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Alex Jones should end this interview. He was the reasonable one there for sure. I might have actually interviewed Alex Jones at least, I think I've spoken to him like twice on my own channel. So that also may have contributed to me getting more blowback, the fact that I did it again.
Was it anything in particular that he said, or just people were so upset that you even had him on?
They were just upset that I had him on because I actually came like away having spoken to him thinking like, wow, he was really on his best behavior. He was like not interrupting me. He was very courteous, very polite. And, the thing I think he gets the most flack for is obviously Sandy Hook. And we were not talking about that at all in our interviews. I think we were talking about like online censorship. So really just a totally different topic. What he was saying isn't really anything different than someone like Tucker Carlson might be saying. I mean, maybe bad example, they hate him too. But I think it really was just you spoke to this person, therefore you co-sign everything that they've ever said, even stuff that they themselves have apologized for and now say that they don't believe. And, what frustrates me on all of that is just how willing people are to attack you without having watched the interview itself. Like with the Richard Spencer thing, I'm asking him stuff like, okay, well, you believe racial conflict is like the root of most conflict. What do you say to something like European wars, World War I, World War II, which, I mean, if you look at the context of the question, is not me co-signing, heck yeah, white identitarianism, but people don't take the time to actually watch it. They see that you're not yelling at someone and they assume you must be agreeing with them because that's the state of civil discourse, I guess.
Yeah, I think race is something that is so easy to like trigger and bait the masses into squabbling over. Like there must be something primal about human beings where it's just like, because we had it sorted. We had race sorted like decades ago. And it's just, I just feel like someone's poking us to focus on something and look over here instead of look at what the elites are doing.
Well, I mean, now that you mentioned that, I just kind of got a little bit in trouble on Twitter this morning because there was this one woman who was saying, we need to start asking white people where they're really from, kind of as if, how would they like it?
Saw this. Yes.
My response was like, white people love telling you where they're from. Like they'll spend hundreds of bucks on like one of those DNA kits. Like they'll make a YouTube video about it. And actually, I had people mad at me for that. I think they thought I meant it as like an insult or a slur against white people, but because we're so sensitive about race now, and it's like, that was a pretty harmless and accurate observation, I thought. But
I'll never understand the desire to, I don't know what they're peeing, spitting, what they're putting into a cup and send it off. I'm like, I'm not sending anybody my pee. No. Yeah. This is you retweeted this from Sorry Diplo Nerd. Normalize asking white people where they're really from. This is not going to offend anybody. They'd be like, oh, yeah, Germany and Norway.
Yeah,
next
like
question.
That's the thing.
Okay.
This is something that white people like. They love talking about it. Like, yeah, my response: white people who've never left America love telling people they're really Italian, Greek, Irish, because it's like they've never even been to that place, but they're still so happy to tell you where they're from. I got called racist for that.
Oh my God. It's this idea that's been popularized, like almost like they train people have been trained to feel like they are victimized in a certain way. And then they're also trained that the way to feel vindicated or solve this racism, right, that they've been trained to feel like is going on with them is to flip it around and point it at white people. And it's just it's just, I think it's a real waste of time. It's just there's so much confusion and manipulation going on.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like I kind of recognize after like looking at some of the responses I got from people who don't follow me, it's like looking at it from their eyes, my last name is Chinese and I'm this person who's mentioning white people. They're probably so used to any comment about white people from someone who is presumably non-white being an attack. They take it as an attack. And it's like,
Mhm.
I didn't even mean it as an attack. Like, that's fine. Like, most of the time I count myself in those like white people means because I am half white and I'm pretty basic. I have my Uggs. I got my PSL, I've taken those DNA tests too. So it's like, I get it, but I feel like we're looking to fight now anytime race comes up, which is really unfortunate. Cause like you said, in the 90s, I thought we had it like down. I thought we were all cool with each other.
Yeah, I think they just send you a generic like sampling of like DNA. I don't think they're actually I think they want to just take your DNA and then they just send you back whatever. Like
Yeah.
a random like example.
Well, I
It's
know that you can actually link like if you and your mom take it, you can link your accounts and it might actually change your results if they take it after you or something, which is
Whoa.
like I don't really understand. But
It might be cool to find a like a new sibling, because I used to be much closer with like my sister, and it's like, yeah, me and my brother were never really that It'd be nice to like, okay, now I have a fresh start with somebody I might have more in common with, like someone
yeah,
who
well,
might want to like listen to my podcast or like be no, come to a
yeah.
show sometime. Yeah.
Well, there are like horror stories on Reddit of like, basically lost siblings or infidelity being revealed through these DNA tests. So you might get your wish. I don't know. For better or worse.
It could be, and yeah, it's just so important to like what you said, like look for quotes. Don't let someone labeling somebody else like really, even if it goes with your political ideology, and it's like easier to like, yes, okay, I already in my head have deemed this person like a far left, and yes, this goes along with it. It's always good to ask for that direct quote. Where is this coming from? And I like that how you kind of bring that to your analysis of Andrew Tate. You're like, well, I like some things he stand for. I don't like
Yeah.
I'm not down with like having multiple wives.
Not on the polygamy train. No.
Yeah. Choo choo. I mean, that's gotta get confusing, especially around like holidays. You gotta buy a lot of gifts. I don't know.
Well, it's funny. So I went to BYU, like a Mormon university. I'm not Mormon, but they had a good program. I got a scholarship.
You're a non-Mormon who went to Brigham Young? I didn't even think they accepted
They
non-Mormons.
do actually. I mean, it's still like it's like 90 or something % Mormon, but it was a good school. Like academically, no complaints whatsoever. And because it's a Mormon school, I like had a lot of Mormon friends, and obviously they have polygamy in their history. And it was kind of funny. There was this one guy who, joking around, used to tell his wife, "It's like, okay, but what if you could choose your sister wife? Like that'd be better, right? Like, I mean, obviously
See,
you
they're
don't really
called
want
friends.
one."
I have my
Yeah.
own friends. We're not just fucking the same dude.
But it's like then you could have someone on your team in the house. I think what was he saying, So it's like argument over thermostat, maybe democracy. I mean, you're polygamous, so probably women don't vote, but like
Yeah, it's like we could, or I could just hire
hire
like a housekeeper to come over once a month and help me. We don't have to both be fucking you. Yeah,
I agree.
squabble over the thermostat. Yeah, but that's the thing is like, and they don't hold the left doesn't hold themselves to their own standards. Like, oh, well, we're gonna simp for like Joe Biden. Really, you could very easily go through his history and pick out many parts of his leadership, his decisions over the years, and been like, well, we can't listen to him, or we can't
Because of this,
appreciate anything positive he's done. I mean, I just think he's a puppet at this point. He
doesn't have the mental capabilities to be as evil as I think some people are trying to attribute to him. But you're right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, I agree with this person on this person, not so hot on what they're saying over here in this issue. I think that's fine. I don't really think there's anyone you can pick that's you're going to have the same opinion as 100% of the time. I think it's normal to have some agreements and disagreements, but it's like, and the right, you can't really do that because then you believe also the most evil or worst thing they've ever said. Like you said, the left doesn't hold themselves to this standard. Like it's perfectly fine for them to, love Joe Biden now, even though previously he's like said some pretty dang racist stuff, even like as recent as what was that clip? Poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Oh God.
Classic.
That is classic. That's on the
Yeah.
classic gaff reel. Yeah, the you are defined by your worst moment, by your worst decision, by the worst thing you've ever said. And what I find really interesting about Andrew Tate is like he blows apart the culture that has been built of like you are not defined by your achievements, which Andrew Tate kind of focuses on. You are defined by how offended you are, by your pronouns, by just nothing achievement based. It's just if you're not an ethnic victim group, like then you got to be non-binary, you got to be trans somehow, instead of, and he kind of looks to like, all right, pushing yourself, building yourself up, which is a much healthier message for men, for women too. Like I like listening to Manosphere guys too, because I just feel like I have in some aspects like a male brain, I think, when it comes to like my sense of humor, but I think it's good to listen to the kind of advice that's being put out everywhere. And then I'll sometimes listen to, God, I used to be really into, I had so many self-help books, like definitely throughout my 20s. Like I read a lot of like Gabrielle Bernstein, and had like a big manifesting phase. This girl named Gala Darling, who like I just watched her. I think she was from New York, and I went to like one of her talks, and like over the years it's like she got new teeth, she got huge tits put in, like she went from like dressing like a regular person to like everything now she wears is hot pink, like to see the progression of like, oh, when you get money, how your looks change and stuff.
Well, there's that like meme with Kylie Jenner, like no one is ugly, just
yes,
which is actually an aspirational message when you think of it. So
yeah, it's like she didn't grow up, or like you're not ugly, you're just broke.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's and not necessarily for the self-esteem of like a lot of young girls who like think that some people are just born looking like a Kardashian when even the Kardashians aren't born looking like a Kardashian, but it's true. It's like it's so true. And I mean, it's kind of interesting how, like, I'm not into the whole feminist stuff, but I do think that there's almost like you can't win in some ways when it comes to looks. Like, if you're ugly, people are going to tell you about it. If you're anonymous, you don't show your face. I used to get picked on because of that. When I was starting out with content creation, I was like just a little cartoon avatar. People accuse you of like not wanting to show your face because you're ugly. Sorry?
Oh, you didn't show your face at first?
No, because I was like, I thought I was going to get fired. So I didn't show my face until like I was pretty comfortable knowing like, all right, well, some people support me, so I think it'll probably be okay.
Oh, wow.
But then it's like, if you're good looking, people are going to accuse you of getting surgery. Maybe you did get some surgery, or people are going to say you're only popular because of your looks. It's like, all right, everyone's hating, can't really win.
No, it's like you just have to be effortlessly beautiful.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Like what were you working in before you went full time to YouTube?
HR.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I mean, it was like HR and BD. So we were also doing like, I was doing like some research into like business development practices and stuff. And it's one of the reasons why I think like a lot of the corporate wokeism is interesting, because it's essentially, there are companies that are making really bad financial decisions that are being pushed by woke HR departments that are like 90% white woke women.
Oof. How did that come to be? Obviously, because human resources appeals to women for the like kind of personality, for the empathy aspect, I guess. Or I don't know, why don't men
and
wanna
also like
work in
kind of like, I
HR?
want to boss you around a little bit. Like, I just want to manage.
Without being your boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hall monitor energy.
Exactly. So I got into it because when I was in university, I worked for a couple of different professors that I had as a research and teaching assistant. So I was doing research for HR and business development, like trying to like identify best practices and things like that. So like I wasn't doing, I guess, like the payroll aspects of HR. It was more like retaining talent, research into that and things. It was interesting. I do still find that interesting, but definitely very unrelated to what I'm currently doing.
Did you ever have to fire anybody or be
No,
involved?
I never did
Okay.
anything like that. I was like very, very back end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I I was like really proud of myself, like, because each time I would get fired, it would take me longer and longer before I started crying. Like it went from like right in the office, and the next time it was like I was able to get to my desk, and then the next time it's like I made it down the elevator.
I feel like if I were to fire someone, I would be the one crying. Like I would
Oh,
not be good at that.
I think I would be great at it now because it's like I've been fired so many times. I'd be like, "Stop it, you're gonna be fine. Like, don't let this job define you. Like, go.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have another passion."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so like my husband and I, we have like our own little production company, which like we have some like part-time employees, and I feel like without him, I would just be the kind of boss where it's like, okay, well, this person is terrible, but I don't want to fire them, so they just work here forever.
Yeah. You can't cut the dead weight off. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. I listened because I was formerly a feminist, and I listened to this like conversation around the types of women who hate on the manosphere, and I think it's surrounding the word submission or submissiveness, and
Mhm.
I really think that has been screwed up over the years. I think women need to, if they want to be in a healthy relationship, you really have to reframe like what you think of the word submission, because I think feminists are like, it's if you're like a kind of like our age or like a bit younger, you've been kind of raised to be like, you're an independent woman, you don't need no man, that whole
Yeah.
thing. Everything in our culture kind of supports this, but it's like if you want a family, like you're gonna have to get down with having a healthy relationship with a guy, and especially if you want like if you're gonna be. And I went to college with so many of these women, like they wore the pants, they were the dominant personality, they basically like told their guy what to do. I even saw it like even before any of them had kids. I was like, oh, she's 100% in charge of this whole situation.
Yeah.
Like I would suck at that because I get very indecisive, so I need somebody kind of, like, helping me make
Same.
decisions.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In being someone who's a little bit less decisive, a little more passive. Like, I feel like feminists have kind of shamed women into thinking that if they're not dominant, type A personality, girl boss all the time, then they're being weak, which is not
Right.
true. Like, that's a perfectly valid personality type to have. I don't think we need to be changed or encouraged to be more dominant. I think your
Yeah,
personality's fine.
there is strength in, like, the quote, like, typical female personality traits. Like, there's strength in being, like, we were mostly built this way for a reason. Like, if you're indecisive and you let your emotions kind of run the show a little bit, like, that helps with, interpersonal relationships. That helps with kids. Like, you're not the most decisive, but you're, like, immensely patient, and you have,
Mhm.
like, just immense kindness, and like someone could really test your patience and you're not going to blow up at them. I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I just don't think all versions of the word, like, to be submissive doesn't mean you don't have a brain. You
Yeah.
make no decisions for yourself. You have no say. You have no autonomy in your life. I think that scares women because you grow up, with this messaging, and then you go, "Oh, my parents just spent all this money for college. I'm supposed to." And then you have this fear, like maybe you've been in a few bad relationships. You're like, well, I don't want to just not work, and I throw all my eggs into the man basket, and then what if they leave me? What if I'm screwed? Like you need something to fall back on. It's there's a lot of conflicting messaging aimed
Yeah.
at women.
And it's interesting because I feel like if you were like with the term submissive, if you're talking to feminists and you're trying to paint it as like maybe let's look at the corporate world, I think they would say like, yeah, there's strength in being a team player, in playing a supportive role. And not everybody can be the boss all the time. I don't think that would be controversial to say in the context of the workplace, because obviously it's true. Not everyone can be
Right.
the boss. Not everyone wants to be the boss. Supporting roles are just as important. But then like in the context of a household, that's become like taboo and sexist to say, which is kind of frustrating because I feel like there are so many young women out there who I guess are maybe they're naturally dominant. Nothing wrong with that either. Like I'm not trying to demonize entire, like I said, personality types, but for the women who maybe aren't as comfortable taking that more dominant role, I feel like maybe they're being bullied into not having healthy relationships, not knowing how to act in a relationship, maybe thinking they're being abused when they're not, because like maybe they don't want to be making all the decisions. Maybe they're happy when someone else takes charge. And it's funny because, and I've thought about like, they love to hate on like the alpha male manosphere types like Andrew Tate, but for so many of these feminists, I bet if like a rich, successful dude were to come up to them and it's like, all right, we're together now and I wear the pants, a lot of them would likely fall in line, right? There's like that maybe female inkling of like, oh, maybe I do want a protector. Maybe I do want someone to take charge. It's not a bad thing.
And I think the women that would call other women like, "Oh, you're a pick me." It's like,
Oh, I
I
hate
think
that
deep
term.
down there's jealousy there because if it
Yes.
didn't bother you, you wouldn't be saying anything. You'd be like, "To each their own. All right, what's for lunch?"
Yeah. Oh, I hate that term because it presupposes that the only reason why a woman might think differently than they do or behave differently than they do is for male attention, which is sexist, by the way. I
It's
hate that term.
projection because, like, I think it's coming from a place of like, "Oh, well, I'm lacking in male attention. I'm gonna pretend it's" instead of doing things that might help me get more male attention, I'm gonna
Yeah.
demonize it. I'm gonna be like, "Well, you want male attention, so you're obviously not smart. You're
Mhm.
not a serious person."
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're basically. It's funny because the people who say "pick me," they accuse, I guess, people like me, and I'm sure you've heard it too, of trying to be like the "not like other girls" trope. When really they're the "not like other girls" trope. They're the ones who are basically bashing everything that's feminine or innate to, I guess, a lot of women, while also trying to say that the other women are the ones who are actually internally sexist. It doesn't make sense.
It's strange. Yeah, I'll see women like, looks like you're living your life to, like, impress other women or a certain type of other woman, than really think about, like, forget all that shit. Like, what kind of person do you wanna meet? Like, what works for you? Because I think once you find the right person, so much of this bullshit, like, kind of falls
Yeah.
away and becomes irrelevant.
And that's the thing, like, whenever I get called to pick me, my first response is like, "Okay, you actually unironically might be a little bit sexist, but also B, I have been picked." So, I'm not concerning myself with what other women are doing in that regard. Maybe you should try it.
Yeah. Ugh. I'm like, I don't have a solution here. Things just bother me. Um, Lauren, did you see Venti's video? I have no idea what this is about. I don't
Oh,
even
no.
know.
Okay, so I know what this
Okay.
is about. There's this person who made a video who's I didn't watch it myself because it's like my husband was like he watched it and he was like, "Oh, like, man," I'm like, "Sweetie, it doesn't matter. People can make whatever videos they want about me. It's fine." But I think she is accusing me of like being a Russian agent or something like that. I don't want to put words in her mouth because again, I didn't actually watch it, but I think she took issue with the fact that I've published op-eds for Russia Today, RT, before the war broke out. And it's like, look, if NPR, if the BBC, if CBC also wants to publish my op-eds, I would take them up on it. But there's no way they're going to do that. Like they're too busy saying that I should like not exist because I didn't get the vaccine and my political views are evil.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, if someone wants to publish my piece, I'd say go for it. And I don't think that makes me a Putin puppet. I
A
mean, Larry
Russian
King,
agent. I've known
yeah,
a few people that have written for them, and I've also known, like, a few reporters who
Larry
have
King had a
worked for
show with
them.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I never had anyone say we won't publish this because it says X, Y, or Z. I wasn't really writing about foreign affairs either. I mean, in fairness, maybe it would have been different if I were trying to like continuously like comment on stuff that had to do with Russia, but mostly it was just the same stuff I say on my YouTube channel. So, as someone who is a writer who doesn't really conform to like mainstream media views, if you're willing to like broadcast my work, I think it's a good thing. So
Right, it's like these media companies, they all have whoever's working there, it's like, you're gonna have a political bias, you're just not gonna include people. They could be a great writer, they could have written a
yeah.
great piece, you're just not gonna include people who disagree with you ideologically. Like, I was just me and my boyfriend fiance, we're talking about this today, like, there was a list of done by the Interrobang, and they're kind of like involved with the comedy community. They promote shows. Like I've known of them like since I was an open micer, and they did a year in review of like top 10 comedy albums. And I didn't even know that this was a thing. I got so many of these things I'm just oblivious to. And Frank was like, "Hey, like you're not on it. Like your album was like number one for like, I think it was between like 2 weeks or a month or something. Like it's still on the charts for a month. It's still there." And he's like, "You're not on this list. Like what the fuck?" And then listed some of the other people, like nothing against the other people whose albums made it. And he's like, "Yeah, I wrote to them, like sent them your press kit, like all this, like it's pretty impressive. Like it was a great album. It did very well. Like to make it on an Amazon chart, even for a day, is a big deal for
It's
a comedian.
impressive.
So anything more than that is just gravy. And I laugh because I'm like, oh yeah, of course I'm not gonna be featured on their thing. Like, look at
Yeah.
my views. The album's called Live from January 6th. Like what? And it's nice that, and I'm like, oh look,
But it's nice that
it's
he's
nice that it
offended
doesn't
on your
matter.
behalf.
Yeah. What was the point of bringing? I'm like, I made that about me. The point of bringing that up is that you're people are gonna be like, oh, you're a Russian agent. It's like, well, no, they just wanted to promote my piece, and I
Basically, yeah.
refer to the I think it's the Daily Mail a lot because I think that what is that, like a British
Yeah.
website. I love their takes because I think they're able to be more honest about things going on in America than our own people are sometimes.
No, I think you're right. And Daily Mail, I've been criticized for using them because people are like, oh, well, it's a tabloid. It's like, well, they
I
even
love
like,
them.
I love them too. I mean, the only thing I will say is like headlines longer than the articles themselves. Like
True.
they're
Very
like
long
like
headlines. I love that
paragraphs.
they have a pink section called female.
Female. I know. At first I was like, is this kind of offensive that it's just like fashion stuff? But then the other part of
I
me was
like
like,
it.
I am interested in this stuff.
It
Like
is a bimbo section.
I do
Yeah.
like it. But no, like they're great and they talk about things that, like you said, like they'll report on things like migrant crisis issues that other European outlets won't report on. So it's like, I mean, yeah, it's easy to pick on like all these different news outlets by virtue of who they are, but I would rather actually talk about, okay, like if you don't like something that I said in this op-ed, let's talk about that. That's valid. But oh, it was posted on this site. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, very long headlines. Inside shares roller coaster love life after she's part engagement rumors too. Alex.
From her messy divorce, was see that headline is like that's an emotional roller coaster right there.
Yeah. Just leave it at like inside shares roller coaster love life.
Yeah.
Yeah, very long title. But I love that it's all in pink. And there's always a Meghan Markle section. There's always a Kate Middleton or like what's going on with the royals. It cracks me up. Shout out to Daily Mail. Cajun Corey, Lauren and Chrissy, two awesome ladies. When will Lauren be on Simcast? Oh my gosh. Well, I know you're very busy with your baby, but you're always welcome to come by on a Sunday.
Thank you.
How is your baby? How old are they?
So cute. So she's gonna be 9 months in just a couple of weeks, and I cannot believe how quickly it is going. Like actually, like it boggles my mind. And what I do is like I'm such a stereotypical like new mom. Like as soon as she's in bed, I'll whip out my phone and then literally just start looking at pictures of her because I'm obsessed. And I already can't believe how like I'll look at the photos of her when she was a newborn or even like 3 and 4 months, and I can't believe how fast she's growing already. And I have like I'm in that place where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, she's mobile now, so we really need to be watching her because she'll like get into all sorts of trouble if you're not watching her, which is like, you know, obviously you have to be on the ball. It's a lot of work. But the other part of me is like, I can't believe I already don't have a baby. Maybe I should have another baby. So
oh wow.
Yeah, she's great. So sweet. So sweet.
I don't have kids yet, but like I have a niece and nephew. I can't believe they're going to be like 6 and 4. And I remember like holding them and I'm like, that's what kids do. They remind you of like the passage of time. You're like, damn, what have I accomplished in a month? This person like gained all these skills. Like, what have I done?
No, it's crazy. I heard someone say that, gosh, who was it? I don't remember, but this is not me. I wish I was this profound, but someone said that, you know, when you're younger, you see your own age in your face, but once you have kids, you see your age in their face, like just their growth and development. And it's really true because I'm already feeling like my husband makes fun of me because it's like I'll say like, well, okay, well, she's 8 months, but she's like almost 9 months, which is like basically a year. So she's pretty much a toddler. And then like, so basically we have a teenager at this point because she's already growing up so fast.
We're basically just going to have to pack her up for college. Just
basically at this
might
point
as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. From Marvel Mind Track, ladies, XX, thank you. Game Freak. Lauren, you have to force Russia Today to remove your page. I wonder if that's about that article.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. So here's the thing. I don't see the point in that. Like these articles were published before it ever happened. So I don't see the point of them going back to retroactively. Like, you know, it happened. They published those pieces. I'm proud of those pieces. I don't know if this is like me. I grew up in Asia. So frankly, I didn't grow up with a lot of the anti-Russian like Cold War stuff. Like to me, they're another country. I don't like what they're doing with the war, but you know, I'm not inherently, I think, anti-Russian. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the point of me doing that. Yeah. I'm very like throughout this entire thing with Ukraine, I've been like very skeptical about like, okay, I'm supposed to be like super, super pro Ukraine, but like I'm supposed to like literally be so anti-Russian that I don't want Russian pianists to play in the symphony, which Montreal, I think, actually
What?
did. Yeah, no, they did that. There was like this person who was like literally just ethnically Russian, and they kicked him out of the performance because it was happening like around the time of the war. And it's like, okay, this is a bit much. So
Yeah, what did that guy do? Like he's
yeah,
just
exactly. What did that
playing
guy
his
do?
instrument.
Yeah, like what are my I literally one of my pieces is about Meghan Markle. Like like remove me from this narrative, please, to quote Taylor Swift.
That's annoying. Eldon Ho, oy vey, ladies. Lauren, will No Malarkey be coming back? It was the best. If Lauren goes on Simcast, please play the bottle game. Just kidding. I have no idea what the bottle game is.
I don't know what. Do they mean spin the bottle?
But that bottle.
Oh, but the bottle. Oh God, that was something for Nick Rekieta where he was holding a bottle to my cheeks.
Yeah. Okay. So No Malarkey. Sorry, I was thinking about butt bottle stuff now. So yeah, No Malarkey. That's the weekly stream show I used to do with my friend Marie. We haven't done it since the baby came around, just because this is actually one of the few like hour-long streams that I've done since baby, just because I get to stay home with her, which is amazing. But I guess the flip side of that is that she only wants me. But I'm hoping like in the new year, she's getting older, like maybe I can start to do more stuff like this because it is fun. I do have fun, and I do like that show. Marie's great. If you don't follow her already, you should.
What was the most surprising thing you learned like from having a kid?
This is going to sound so cliche, but just how sweet like my baby is, and just how amazing and incredible, because I like babies. I like kids. That's why I wanted to have one. But like, I had no idea how sweet a baby could be. Like when she was 4 months old, she like kind of started giving us kisses. Like she does open mouth. Like she doesn't pucker her lips. She just like, and then like tries to like eat your face. But it's just so cute. It's so sweet. Like this little baby who, can't even talk, couldn't even crawl at that point, but she's still like sweet enough to know that she loves me and wants to show me affection. Like it's the cutest thing in the world. Like the first time she kind of like hugged me herself was just like, oh, unbelievable. So yeah, I guess it's just like how much you love your kid. But like on the flip side of that, now anytime I see a story about like a baby getting hurt or something, I am like destroyed for the entire day emotionally. Like my feminine brain is like, I can't even imagine. Yeah.
She's like, thank you for keeping me alive.
Yeah.
I don't know how to kiss yet, but I'm gonna try.
Someone in the chat says, did you think babies were a-holes or something? No, but it's like, let's face it, babies get a pretty bad rap in our pop culture.
Especially on airplanes.
I didn't think babies were bad. I didn't dislike babies, but it's like, I mean, maybe I just have a super sweet baby. I have like an S-tier baby, which I think is possible, but I had no idea just how sweet they could be. Yeah.
That's so cute. Philip E. Lauren, what's your take on the systematic Asian discrimination that's being pushed by liberal, especially in education? The right is not allying with us, and we are left fending for ourselves.
So yeah, this is something that is super frustrating. I've talked about it in a couple of videos, but like, I mean, me and my sibling, my brother, and like so many of my relatives, like we were in the position going to college where it's like, okay, well, they're asking me for my race. Do I put like do not want to disclose? Because being Asian, we know like the statistics are there that you're held to a higher standard, right? There's too many successful Asians in academia where it's like you will be penalized for being Asian, and like this is systemic racism.
That's cool.
But not only does the left not oppose it, they're for it. It's really
I didn't realize, maybe this is like it's definitely my fault. Like I just didn't think that it was that bad. Like
it's absolutely bad. Like you could have the same same resume, same grade, same like admission letter, but if you're Asian, you might not get in, whereas if you're Black, you will. Like they literally are just being like F you Asians, which is
wow.
No, it's really, really frustrating. This is like outright racism, the worst kind, the kind that is against me. So it's terrible. And I mean, one thing, it's like, I shouldn't even have to think about this. No one should, but at least with my daughter, it's like, okay, well, she's also part Native American. So maybe that'll balance out. the racial hierarchy points in her favor.
She could be like Elizabeth Warren one day. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man. KMax for Lauren, what did you think of the Vice hit piece on right-wing women? The left claims to support women until they have different ideas. Lauren Southern and you were the main targets. Oh, I did not see this.
So I know they did a like a video that I did a video response to because I saw like Lauren Southern was in the thumbnail and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make content out of this. But I didn't see anything with me in it. So maybe there's a different thing they're talking about. And actually, like not even kidding, I was slightly offended I wasn't included in the video about right-wing extremist women. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, where's my hit piece?
Where am I?
But I just thought it was so I thought this was like a video that belonged in 2016 because they're using like old footage of Lauren Southern, like just people, even content creators who are no longer even making content, just because they've moved on to other things. So it was like very weird timing wise, but also, I mean, you're right. The left loves going after women who don't agree with them, just like they love going after, I think, minorities who don't agree with them. It's like they get extra furious if they believe you should be in a box that you're not willing to fit into.
I think because of our innate abilities and like the things we're good at, I think it also makes women easier to psyop. And I think the left and progressives, they get upset when they're like, oh man, you guys are thinking for yourselves. Like you're supposed to be with us. You're supposed to be brainwashed.
Yeah, exactly. So like, let me bully you extra.
Oh, you must be racist. Why else? Thankful you both didn't get into creating makeup videos. Oh, there's still time. I might.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. We'll see how like, YouTube goes further down the line. It's never say never.
I just saw this today. This was not shocking at all. I'm sure you've been following all the Twitter files, although I'm not on the latest. There's been a couple of drops I missed, but this did not shock me to see. Elon Musk claims ex-Twitter employees ran a Fauci fan club Slack channel. Right. We noticed so much Fauci simping over the pandemic, like really in crazy ways. Like I remember there was a spread and I think like Glamour magazine or like one of the women's magazines, and it was a bunch of these celebrities. It was Katy Perry, I think, and Orlando Bloom at the time. They were, I don't know if they're still together, but they were both wearing sweatshirts that said Fauci gang. And that's what a light bulb went off for me. I was like, oh my God, someone is creating and sending out Fauci gang, like sweatshirt propaganda, sending it to celebrities for them to wear. Cause I'm like, there's no way that these celebrities went and got these made. Like celebrities are used to having shit sent to them. There's no way they're sending it to like Vistaprint and like being like, I can't wait for my Fauci sweatshirt to get here. It's like, I'm like, wow, there's like a Fauci simping propaganda machine going on. And I was like,
I mean, they made like an entire documentary about him, right? Like there was like a Fauci basically PR movie. It's just bizarre. Like this doesn't surprise me either. The only thing that I find surprising is like how into it some people were.
And as soon as like Elon discovered this, closet at Twitter full of all these like Twitter shirts that said like they were like equality,
stay woke or whatever. Yeah,
stay woke. And it was so funny. I was like, oh, I spent $44 billion on Twitter, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. And it's funny that they didn't, throw away some of the evidence there. New Twitter boss Elon Musk revealed that former employees of the social media company managed a fawning Slack channel entitled Fauci Fan Club, a reference to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Musk tweeted the claim in a thread that was highly critical of Fauci, who was accused by the mogul of lying about so-called gain-of-function research that some suggest may have played a role in the spread of the Rona. Despite these glaring issues, Twitter nonetheless had an internal Slack channel, unironically called Fauci Fan Club. Musk tweeted late Tuesday. He did not elaborate as to how many employees participated in the Slack channel. Who knows? They could have just added people automatically. Since taking over Twitter, Musk has been eager to show that the company's prior management had a left-wing bias that promoted liberal narratives and banned conservative voices. Musk on Tuesday responded to a tweet thread by venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, who posted a meme that accused Fauci of lying. He said, gain of function in this context is just another way of saying bioweapon. Some good nuggets in the article. Important to note that Fauci authored 2012 paper arguing for gain of function research. Obama wisely put this on pause, but Fauci restarted it. Wow. God, is he really going to leave now? Or was it his plan to, just kind of unveil the truth and then walk away. He's a
Well,
busy
didn't
guy.
he tweet out, or you mean Elon leaving Twitter,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Elon,
Well,
yeah.
didn't he tweet out that he's gonna stay as leader until like he finds someone else who he thinks would be good at the job? So like, I'm just wondering who, like, what's the short list like right now? Obviously, like everyone on Twitter has thrown in their hats. So I'm hoping,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's someone that like the Twitter activists hate even more.
Yes, I
That
hope
would
it's
be
Alex
great.
Jones.
Yes.
I hope it's Kanye. Who else would be funny? I heard rumor that it would be Jared Kushner.
Yeah, or like if Twitter merges with Truth Social and it's just literally Trump. That would be good.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you guys said you wanted me out. I listened
Yeah.
to your poll.
Now
In
I
a series-
am the establishment. I am Twitter.
In a series of tweets, Musk linked to a Newsweek article titled "Fauci was untruthful to Congress about Wuhan lab research." New documents appear to show. The Newsweek story linked to a September 21 article by The Intercept that found that the National Health's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which is headed by Fauci, provided funds to research so-called gain of function research of concern. What a snake. Gain of function is a process where scientists who study viruses make them more pathogenic or transmissible in order to gain more knowledge about their behavior as to prevent future pandemics. Yeah, okay. The
I
NIH
heard
thing.
that, was it Rand Paul was looking to, I guess, like indict Fauci for like perjury or something because, you know, Rand Paul was one of the people who during the congressional hearing was like grilling Fauci on it. And he was like, no, we would never
Yes,
do that.
I
I don't know
loved
what
watching that.
happened with that. Like,
He was
I hope
relentless. Yeah.
I hope something actually comes out, like something is done if he was really lying to people, which it seems like he was, because I don't know. I'm just frustrated that like all of these things are exposed and there's zero accountability. Like, oh, Twitter was super evil.
Nothing is happening.
All the
Yeah.
employees are going to get different, like multi-million jobs at like other companies. Like, oh, Fauci lied. Nothing happens. I don't know. It's just like, it doesn't seem like once you're in power, anything bad can happen to you.
It's really frustrating. Right. Had this been the other way around, if Twitter had somehow become a conservative biased channel, it's like that they'd be having a field day. Left be like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this person needs to be canceled, never hired again. They would be
Basically an
milking it for
insurrection.
years. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the insurrection. The controversy over gain of function research stems from whether it originated in the lab. It's like, God, this is shit we've known for years now.
Yep.
Okay, so he responded to Scott Kelly being, I strongly disagree. Forcing your pronoun. Oh, I love this. Forcing your pronouns upon others when they didn't ask and implicitly ostracizing those who don't is neither good nor kind to anyone. As for Fauci, he lied to Congress and funded gain of function research that killed millions of people. Not awesome. I would assume that Elon Musk is like just 5 steps ahead of everybody. He probably knew coming into it that he wouldn't be able to, because he's so busy with Tesla and everything else. He figured, I'm not going to be able to have Twitter be this big of a focus for long.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'm just like really curious as to who the next person is going to be. And by the way, like, remember when Elon came over, he did all those layoffs and everyone was like, just wait, Twitter's going to shut down because there's not enough HR and diversity people. It's still fine. It's still fine. I mean, like, I had like, there's a little bit where like Twitter spaces weren't working, but they've been funky for me even before Elon. So I don't notice a difference.
It's been fine. And there's so many jobs that, oh my God, I was listening to something like, might have been like the Morning Wire a few months back, and they were citing examples of
Oh my
colleges.
gosh, I love Georgia. Sorry, she's amazing.
Me too.
She's beautiful and so nice.
Oh,
Great.
really? Okay. I haven't.
Yeah,
I just
she's
listened to
super
her.
nice.
Listened to all their voices. I couldn't pick any of them out of a lineup other than David Marcus, who's done the show. I think he moved from New York. Maybe he's in Nashville or Texas now. But they were citing examples of colleges who had more diversity inclusion positions working there than they did actual professors.
Yes.
And that shit blows my mind. And when you think about how that applies to Twitter, like how many people have these useless jobs
and
that
it's
aren't
like
actually helping at work.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. If someone was like, hey, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year to say that there are too many men somewhere, I would take it, right? I appreciate the hustle. But at the same time, it's like you can't run a company like literally and just have this many people not contributing to your actual product. And it's funny with regard to like the colleges. I did a video like a while ago looking at why American colleges are so expensive now. And one of the reasons is because the number of administrators per actual professor teaching has just exploded. So it's like every student is supporting like 1.5 just people there pushing Marxist crap, and like a quarter of a professor who's actually there to instruct you. So if you want affordable education, just go to a community college where they don't have that huge network of like bureaucratic busybodies, because like you just want the education. You should only have to pay for the education, not the indoctrination too.
Yeah. It's so nuts. Like college was like the end all be all. It was like everything. My parents were like, no, you all 3 of you kids have to go. My mom had only done secretarial school. So it was like, she was so proud to able to, send us all to college. And now it's like, I'm not even using my degree. Like every job I had, I learned there.
Chrissy. Okay. So
yeah, I guess I am communicating to some degree now.
There you go.
Let's talk about how you got your idea to maybe start dabbling in stand-up. I love this for you.
Oh, okay. Well, so I love comedy. I mean, I am always watching stand-up specials. I love hearing comedians talk about the comedy scene. And so like I figured for a while, like if Amy Schumer gets to call herself a comedian, I don't think I'm like Dave Chappelle or anything, but I think I'm at least as funny as Amy Schumer. Maybe that's not even that funny, but funny enough to call yourself a comedian. So it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. So I decided like, okay, next year I'm actually going to try, like I'm working on material. I want to try it. My husband says that he will not come see me because he's afraid I'll bomb, which I understand.
You will bomb. He has to support you have to embrace the bomb. Yeah.
You know what? I get it. I've been to like improv and it's uncomfortable when comedians bomb. It's like it's a bad feeling. They feel bad, you feel bad for them. No one wants to be in that situation. It would, I guess, be like even worse if the person bombing is someone you care about. So I get it, but I still like, I've had videos bomb, I've had tweets bomb. I feel like I could have stand-up bomb and still be okay.
You definitely have some transferable skills. Like there's going to be a certain degree of like stage fright and public speaking awkwardness that you're just not going to deal with as much of because of your years, creating content. And if you can't go wrong if you get up there and just start talking about something you're passionate about. Like, don't even worry if you have necessarily punchlines for everything. Just like the act of doing it, you'll figure it out. But that's very exciting, and I want to come to a show.
Well, I mean, I figure if I do start bombing, worst comes to worst, I can just start calling the audience racist and sexist, and then I will get a glowing review in The Guardian. So it's like,
yeah,
can't go wrong.
You'd be like, look, this place couldn't afford Ali Wong, so here I am.
Here's me. Yes.
Okay, a couple more super chats from K-Max. Lauren, when it comes to the Twitter files, were you not surprised back in 2016 when Trump won big tech and said, we will not allow this again? Was it not surprising people on the right were shadow banned?
I wasn't surprised at all. I feel like anyone who's kind of been following, like, especially the Project Veritas leaks, it's really like we knew this was happening. This was essentially just like fourth-hand confirmation, like again and again, that big tech is working to silence these different opinions. So this wasn't surprising at all. It was vindicating to see the Twitter files though, because at least you could say like this is not like absolutely from the horse's mouth. This is not a conspiracy theory, and now you don't even have the it's Project Veritas, so we can't trust them excuse. But it's funny, like there's the typical gaslighting now that we've seen from activists. At first it was like, this isn't happening, it's a conspiracy theorists that are just saying that. And now that we have proof from Twitter employees themselves, it's of course we're doing this, why shouldn't they be? It's good. It's like, all right, you guys, all right,
we're living in two separate realities here. Yeah.
Basically.
And one more from CJB. Lauren, I find you to be genuine, pragmatic, and rational. You were open about using fillers in the past. Please talk about how your experience and whether you recommend or regret it. No judgment. Love your work. HNY.
Thank you. So I have gotten under eye filler. I've talked about it on my channel, and it's like one of those things where I want to be open about it because like, I don't naturally look like this, and that's okay. But also I don't want to be like promoting it. So I feel like there's a fine line, but I've also had a lot of people ask me after I talked about it, like, okay, well, like, how much did it cost? Like, what was it like? So I will talk about it, but here's me saying that if you're considering it, only do it for yourself. You don't need to do this. Probably no one but yourself is going to like notice a difference, which my husband says is the case for me. But like, yeah, this is not me trying to, like, you don't need it is what I'm saying. Like it's not a necessity, but if you are curious, so it was not as painful as I thought. And so they last like up to 2 years, depending on your metabolism, the way your body breaks down the filler that they inject. I haven't gotten it in a while because like I was pregnant. And the only thing I will say is that like if you are planning on getting it, don't let your weight fluctuate too much because that's what happened to me. And then it looked kind of weird. You can like massage it back down and even get it dissolved if you don't like it. But that's my, I guess, I don't want to say expertise, but that's my warning, I guess, my word of caution to anyone who might be into it. And I guess ultimately just if you want to do it for yourself, not because you're being pressured into it. And again, most likely other people aren't going to notice either way. So it's, just don't feel pressured to, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's never just like, I think a lot of people will see, oh, wow, Lauren's so beautiful. Oh, this? Okay, that's my ticket. It's always a combination of so many things. It's like your diet, it's exercise, it's how someone does their makeup. It's like there's a lot going on. And again, it's like not a
exactly. And I feel like, it's just with this kind of stuff, there can be a slippery slope where it's like you don't want to end up looking like Michael Jackson the next day. So that would be my like other thing. Just like, like if you want to
ignorant.
Yeah. Like even with I saw that like some people think I have lip fillers. Like guys, I draw on my lips. My lips start miles underneath this lipstick. Like
it's part of my cheek.
Exactly.
Max, quick last point on The Guardian. Elon Musk himself said it was the worst newspaper on earth. Oh,
I disagree. I have gotten a lot of content from those people. So for me, at least, they are helpful.
Matthew Hammond, just know they directed hate at Michelle Malkin. So there is hope.
Yeah, I heard she recently retired, which was too bad.
Oh, man. Okay. Awesome. Lauren, thank you so much for spending some time away from your adorable new baby to come on the show. Just such a big fan of everything you do, and I really appreciate your time today. And I'd love to have you back sometime. Love to have you on Simpcast, and let the people know what's going on, where they can follow you.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Happy to come back some other time. And, if I do start live streaming again on my channel, would love to have you there as well. You guys can find me on YouTube. Lauren Chen is my like current events channel. And Mediaholic is my like pop culture channel. So if you're into like movie reviews or anything, you can follow me there. And I have started like a new channel, which I haven't posted to for a while, but it's called Rabble Rouser. And that's just going to be like quick political stuff. On Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram, I'm at the Lauren Chen, and I think that's pretty much everything.
Awesome. Everybody follow Lauren if you're not already. And who else do I have coming up this week? I think we got, Friday Night Tights on Friday.
But Simpcast on New Year's night.
And there is going to be a Simpcast this Sunday, New Year's night. That's going to be fun.
The next week you got Zeke.
And then Zeke Arkham is next week. Brittany Pettibone.
Oh, I love Brittany Pettibone.
Ooh,
she's
Jasmine
great.
Sinclair.
And she's super nice.
And who?
Kazoo.
And Kazoo. Oh my God, the Kazoo Kid is next week. That's a big. And Sam Tripoli, the guy. There's a viral video called Kazoo Kid. If you want to go down a 80s K-hole. All right. This was great. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you to everybody in the chat for your good comments and questions. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.